Hi there, and welcome back to the Happy Moms Project. As always, I want to say thank you for taking the time to support the podcast. My goal is to empower you to become the best version of yourself so you can empower your kiddos to become the best version of themselves too. But I do have a favor to ask. If you feel like you're getting value out of today's episode or any of the previous ones, please share it with a parent who can benefit from it. We're all in this together. But let's go ahead and get started because today's episode is incredibly special, not just because of who I'm interviewing, but because we're opening a brand new chapter in this podcast. This will be the first of many episodes in a series called Mom Stories That Inspire. And these episodes are for the moms who are walking through the thick of it, for the women who are holding on to so much, trying to stay strong, trying to rise. My goal is to highlight the stories of moms who have been through an incredibly hard time and didn't just survive it, but they turned that time into something beautiful. And our very first guest in this series is someone whose story lives in both pain and in power. Her name is Jenisbel Acevedo. She's a mother, she's an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. I love that about her. And she's the author of a brand new book, El Barco de los Sueños, a very poetic and a very deeply moving story that's rooted in her experience as a young girl who immigrated to the US in 1993. Her book speaks to the journey of survival, of sacrifice, of really the quiet dreams that we carry across oceans in her case. And this one hits home for sure because just like Jenisbel, I was also born in Cuba and I immigrated to the US as a little girl. So I am so moved and I'm so inspired by her story that when I heard it, I said, everyone needs to hear this. But this conversation is not just about her book. It's going to be about legacy, which I love. It's going to be about healing, which I love. And it's going to be about her choosing to write her own story and how that story became a compass, remember that word, for the next generation. Jenisbel, I'm so happy you're here.
I love the intro. I love it. Thank you for having me.
No, honestly, like when I heard your story, I was so moved because I know you're a huge philanthropist, right? We have a lot of friends in common. Hopefully we can become better friends now moving forward. But,
love to.
you know, when I heard, honestly, like your story of how everything came to be, you're an excellent mother. You're a mother first, as you say, right? And I mean, it's great. It's great. I would love for you to share it.
I mean, I love the intro just because everything that you say resonates so well with just being a woman.
Yeah.
Being a mom, being a fighter, not giving up, not quitting in the first no, because imagine how many no's I've gotten throughout my 40 years of life. And I believe in myself. And I think that is, I would love to start this podcast letting every woman out there know that that is the first step into becoming the woman that you've always wanted to be. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody will possibly be able to do so. So, I mean, I think it's a survival story. It's an inspirational story just because I have that background of being 9 years old and being able to understand that I needed to survive, not only for my own good, but also to support my family because we were going through so much.
Yeah. It's crazy because I feel like obviously I know your struggles, you know, coming here as a little girl. I did not come and on a boat. Like I feel like, wow, your parents are so courageous. You're so courageous for doing that, you know? So I know your struggles, but I would love for you to share a little bit about that journey because there are listeners who don't understand, you know, what immigrants like us go through to get here.
It's very difficult because, I mean, imagine being in a country where you have no freedom whatsoever to eat what you wanted. We had no electricity. We couldn't even tell our neighbors that our wish was to leave Cuba to the United States. My parents were physicians, practicing physicians at the moment, and it was very tough, you know, for us to leave. So we had to choose the water because we had no one that could say, you know what, let me go ahead and have them come to the US legally. And we were also scared that they were going to tell my parents no because of their
Right.
profession, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was very scary. Like I remember the whole process of knowing that the boat was being built. I knew where it was. I remember going from one side of the bridge to the other side to visit my grandparents. And I was so witty because I'm like, I would look at the boat, I would see it. I'm like, that's it. Like soon it's going to be ready and I'm going to have to leave my school, my friends, and not being able to tell anyone, you know? It was all difficult. Just that last goodbye, having the courage of saying, look, straight and don't ever look back. Because I didn't even know if I was going to be able to be back and visit my house and leave my toys. And, as a 9-year-old, we're very present. I knew very well what was happening. And I remember when I was getting to the Florida Keys, it was all light and I could just see so many bright lights together. And my mom was like, get up so that you can see this. And I didn't even have the strength because it was so many days in the water. And it was, it's a story that had a beautiful ending, but it could have turned out as many, stories that I know that didn't turn out beautiful. That's why, if God gave us the opportunity to come to the U.S. and make a better life for ourselves and the family, I can't give up now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for those of you listening, you might not know, Cuba in the 90s was a really rough place.
Very rough.
Yeah.
The electricity.
Everything was horrible. I was born in 1990. And not to get too political, but I mean, Russia is who supported the USSR falls. And we entered el periodo especial.
El periodo especial.
The special
it was
period.
very special.
Yeah.
No food.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. It was all special in a negative way, if that makes any sense. No electricity for hours. I was a very sick child. Like I was always sick. Like I always had an infection. No medicine, no food, everything about the country was just, imagine being a child and seeing my great-grandparents that raised me have to give up their food so that I could have dinner that day.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt even guilty, so and this is something that I've never said. I became a child where I'm like, I don't like chicken. I don't want to eat the chicken. And it's not that I didn't like the chicken. I wanted my grandparents to eat.
Yeah.
And when I think about that now, if it wouldn't have been for A Raft of Dreams, I would have not remembered that about my childhood, where I had to learn how to just be humble and kind and understanding of the limitations of my family, of a country.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, why did I never? And it was because I wanted them. They were old, they were skinny. I'm like, no, it's fine. I don't like it. You eat it. It's tough.
I remember being a little girl and my mom, she worked as an accountant and she would get paid not a lot. But I mean, your parents were physicians. Mine was an accountant. You would think those are like pretty respectable,
A good salary
right.
or
They made nothing. And she would buy me one pizza a month, a little like Cuban pizza, when she got paid. And I remember I wanted a Barbie doll. I don't even know what age I was, but I remember she saved up for so long. And when we got to the store, the Barbie brand was way more than what she had saved. No. So they had the like cheapy version. And I could just see in her eyes, like it makes me emotional thinking about it because she wanted to get me the Barbie, but she couldn't. And just like you, I remember being a little girl and being like, Mom, it's okay.
It's okay.
I'll take the other one.
We learn. Yeah. We learn. And I guess we're so grateful to have parents that have instilled that in us to be the women that we are today. I'm sure it was tough for your mom, just like it was tough for my parents to put me in a boat. We could have lost her life. But you know what? I would never regret that. And I always tell them, thank you for making that decision for me, because I am the woman that I am today because I was una balsera.
Yeah. A rafter. No, I love that.
I had to learn so many ways of just fitting in. And just, I didn't know the language. It was hard because, I get bullied. I used to get bullied a lot in school, and because of my shoes. Because when we came to the U.S., in that time, we had the help of Hermanos al Rescate that helped us when we were in the Bahamas. We were lost. Pero a lot of Cubans will help us. Like, they will send in, like, food and just ropa, and it was all, like, old. And I'm like, I was just happy to just, see that my parents were happy also that we made it and whatnot. But my shoes had little holes in it. And I remember I was bullied. And I'm like, that's okay. One day I will have...
Amen to that.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of the way that you see the circumstances that you are in, because difficulties shape you.
Yeah. It's funny you say that about the shoes, because when I became successful with my business, I have way more shoes than I don't think. I mean, Nadina knows. Nadina, shout out to you. She's over here being amazing.
She's both. She's our makeup artist.
She's our confidant, or everything.
She's amazing.
And people have asked me, my mom asked me, like, why do you have so many shoes? And I'm like, because growing up, I didn't. Because I wanted certain shoes. I was always very girly. And like, again, I was 9, almost 10 when I got here. And like, high heels were becoming a thing. The mules. My parents couldn't afford it.
And should we say that? I don't remember there were stores, right? Like I don't remember
I think it
going
was
in
like
Cuba to a store that had shoes.
well, I think it was
I
like
don't remember.
independent people, like shoemakers that would make it. Yeah.
And you know, the other thing is like, who can tell me what amount of food as a human
Yeah.
I should consume on a monthly basis? Like we had to deal with that. Like
Yeah.
you would go to this stores or whatever, and then they would say, okay, this amount of rice, this amount of beans, and I have a trauma with that. Like I just buy food.
Yeah.
Like you will always see so much food in my house that we don't eat, and these are childhood traumas that in the
Yeah.
moment you don't see it as that, but then you grow up realizing the whole shoes for you, the food for
Yep.
me. We had all these limitations. So
Yeah.
now that we feel that we're in a place where we can afford it, let's have it. Why
My
not?
mom stocks her fridge with so much like frozen chicken that I'm like, you do know you don't have to do this, right? Like it's just like un Cubanismo,
Yeah.
like a Cubanism,
Yeah.
you know? It's crazy. And, you know, I became a mom 10 months ago, like I was telling you. And now, because I would always tell, like, obviously being Cuban, you hear stories of people coming in a boat and you're like, wow, like, I don't think I would ever be able to do that. But now, being a mother, I would do anything for my child, anything for my child. So, you know, wow, your parents were so courageous.
You know, one of the things that I always feel about my mom and my dad is that they've never been afraid. I remember the other day, my mom was telling someone, this whole having help in the house or nanny or whatnot, I had to come home. I'm 9 years old. I don't know if I should even say this. And my mom would leave everything ready for me because my parents had 3 jobs.
Yeah, no, same.
So I would have to come, you know, in the bus, the school bus, and go home by myself, warm my food. And that helped me. Like I said, that shaped me so much because it made me an independent person. I'm someone that I depend on myself. I love my husband, my family, my children, but I depend on my love, my self-care, knowing that I have to figure out ways to make myself feel good because, you know, you have a baby, you can have postpartum depression or anxiety or this, that. Life hits you in so many different angles. And you have to be ready for the challenges because there will always be new challenges, Liz. Like at one moment, you didn't have enough food. One moment, you didn't have enough money. Now you have resources, but you have a business to run and you have a husband and you have your child and you want to be a present mom. So those are challenges that at the end of the day, you need to pass. And if you're not strong enough to go through them, life hits you and
Amen. Amen. I'm so glad they instilled it in you. Same thing with my parents. Like, it's beautiful, right? Like, you know, if you're listening and you're not an immigrant, being an immigrant is hard, right?
It's hard.
And you know
doing an interview in English is hard. This is my first. I want to say like Spanish words because I think in Spanish, but I love this because if our story, you know, can get to other women out there, and maybe if you're saying, oh my God, like I feel bad about this, and you hear our stories, get up from bed.
Yeah.
You know, surpass whatever it is that you're going through. Like it's all sometimes in our mind. We set our own limitations. If we were able to do it,
anyone can. And you know, I'm glad you said that because we're sharing our story as immigrants, but maybe someone listening was born here, but they just were born into not so great circumstances. You know, it's the same thing. All you have to do is learn to overcome them.
And that's why I don't like to complain.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm like, nope, I'm blessed.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Our worst days could be someone else's
Absolutely.
you know, best, right? And that's something that I've learned a lot.
Absolutely.
But I want to talk to you about something that I know you and your family, your parents, you guys have zero of, but it's victimization, right? And why I bring this up is because mothers sometimes are like, I was dealt a bad hand. I come from bad, whatever, backgrounds. My husband left me. My partner left me. Like, and they use the victim mentality to not go after everything that they can, right? I'm a little maybe too harsh sometimes when I criticize the victim mentality because I'm like, listen, I've been through it. Like, I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to be in a bad situation. Like, and not because I think that I'm better than anybody, but because I know that the failures, like you fall down, you get up 10 times, right? So what do you tell women to victimize themselves because they come from a not so perfect background?
You know, our backgrounds shape us, definitely. But it takes courage and it takes strength to break the cycle. I think that someone in the family has to break that cycle because, mind you, this is a mentality that comes in generations. I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to generalize, but I'm pretty sure that maybe that specific person, that's how she grew up seeing her mother do that, or seeing her grandmother. So what about if you're that first woman in your family who breaks that generalization, that, generational victimization, or you know what, it's okay if our husbands do this and we stay home and, let them provide and let them do that. Or if that happened to you, it happened to me too. It's okay. It's not okay. So it's up to you to get up from that circumstance and say, you know what, I'm going to change this for my daughter and for my great granddaughter. And I'm going to break that cycle and make it different. Because at the end of the day, only you can make it different. Nobody is going to come in and say, I can come in and say, oh, I'm sorry this happened to you. But at the same time, I can't do anything for you. I cannot do anything to make you change your situation. So it is in you to change it. So change it. How? I don't know. Make that first step. Therapy. Realizing the problem, recognizing what you can do to make it better, and taking it one day at a time. As women, especially the world that we live in, the perfect world that social media, that society wants to put into our own hearts and brains and whatever. We don't need to carry all that weight of perfection. We don't need to be perfect. We have struggles. We all struggle with something. No one can sit in this podcast and say that they haven't struggled with mental health in some sort of way. Giving birth, as a child, in a marriage, in a relationship, in whatever. It's up to us to make it better. It's up to us to fight for a better future. And I don't want to sound cliche. I don't want to sound like this is a taboo, but nobody will do the work for you. So get up, find that way that's going to make you feel better, exercise, breathe, and do it, because no one will do it for you.
I love that. I love that. So good. So let's talk about the book now. And this is
talk about A Raft of Dreams.
Perfect segue into what I wanted to ask you next. On the topic of trauma, on the topic of victimization, do you think writing the book helped you heal that little girl inside?
I would say absolutely. And at first, I wrote this book as something that I wanted to do for myself. It was a gift for me. I wanted for it to be very autobiographical. See? Well, we get
Let's not cut that in editing. I love that.
Please leave it. And I wanted my children to understand where mommy and daddy and his family comes from and her struggles. And as I was writing the book, I realized that it was very therapeutic. And it was never for that reason. I'm like, I want to write my story. I want my parents. And I even surprised my parents with this story, because there was a lot of things that I got wrong in terms of timing and dates and whatnot, but I wanted the story to be told from a 9-year-old. Like when you read the story, it can resonate to a child, to an adult, because it came from, I had to go back to that time. And it was a little rough because I had to remember a lot of things that were hurtful, that you grow up into like putting them on the side. And we never sat down as a family and discussed the 5 days that we were in the sea. We had never told my brother and my sister about it. Like, they know that we came on a boat, but we never sat down and say, this is how the story unfolded, and family members were getting desperate and we had no water. We had things like that. And it was very therapeutic for me. It made me understand a lot of my traits as a woman now that I have from Jenisbel as a child. And I had no idea. Yeah. Like the food that I was telling you, how I don't take for granted anything, how I don't like to complain, how I always like to become my better version, how I don't compete with anyone. And that's something that as women, don't do that. Don't put that weight on yourself. Compete with your own self. Compete with that woman that you were 1 year ago. Be that better version of yourself without looking to the side and saying, you know what, I want to be like her. You can be like her, but be the best version of yourself that looks like her. So it was very therapeutical. It reminded me of a lot of things about myself that I had forgotten, because when we become a mom, it is a blessing, but we forget a little bit about ourselves, and it's all about them, and it's all about being the best mom and I love to be a present mom as well. And there was things about me that I'm like, that's why I'm like that. Or wow, like that's why my children as well. Yeah. Like, it's okay if their jeans are a little short here and there, but they will have shoes. Same thing, because of all the limitations that I grew up and always having my fridge full of food and unnecessary food. And just because I was that girl that I didn't have a lot. And I take, every situation that I'm in, I take it as a challenge, and I grow from it and I learn from it.
We tend to compartmentalize the bad things that happen to us. We put them in a little box. right? But I'm a very firm believer, and that's one of the biggest things that I want this podcast for moms to get from the podcast is that healing starts with you. If you want your kids to be healthy, you got to heal it. So how awesome. Maybe I should write down all my stories. Maybe I won't make it a book, but I'll write down my traumas.
It's very, and like I said, I never thought that I had, and I think it's a very Latin thing, how we don't speak about, right? Like we don't speak about
for the struggles and the bad part.
We don't talk about it. Yeah. We try to minimize it or just put it on the side. And let me tell you, it's a free therapy session. It helped me so much understand that I'm not a perfect mom because I'm not a perfect person. And I am an imperfect woman that loves to learn something different every day. I love challenges. This was a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm not a writer. It was very different. It took me a year because I was very hard on the illustrations.
Yeah.
I needed the illustrations to be very hands-on. Like I wanted to be as real as I would remember. Like I would close my eyes and I'm like, I remember being in my neighborhood just playing with my friends. So it took me a long time because I would send the illustrations back. I'm like, nope, I want it to be very simple, but I want a child to see this and be like, wow, like she had no toys. Look how many toys I have. And maybe as kids read it, they start understanding that nothing ever should be taken for granted. Nothing.
I love that. So I know there's a certain compass. See, there's my Spanglish coming out.
There's a story with that. Yes.
Would love to hear it because you carry it around.
Yes. There's a compass that my father, okay, so it's a funny, it's funny, but at the same time, it's not funny. So we had the captain of the boat knew nothing about the sea. Nothing. He just wanted to leave Cuba as much as we wanted to leave Cuba. So he had a compass with him that it was a land compass, not a sea compass. So we were lost because we were continuing to search for ground and we didn't make any advance and we were lost. We were desperate. And I want to say that a couple of years ago, my mom had like a little bag where she brought her virgencita, her good luck, whatever, I don't remember. It was like a little medallita that she had from her childhood. And we find, and glasses and my sunglasses too. Because I left with my little book bag, my ninja book bag, because I have always been in fashion. It doesn't matter what circumstance. And we find the compass. And I'm like, Mom, look at this. And she's like, ay, yo no quiero ni ver eso. I don't even want to see that. Because of that, we were lost in the sea. And we still, I still have it. And I say that compass is my good luck.
Yeah, I love that. That's so symbolic. You know what I brought with me? Un libro de José Martí. You talk about being cliche. That's very cliche. And La Edad de Oro. You remember
that we should say to children that maybe they're watching this with their parents. I don't remember having like a toy store. At least in my
I don't think so.
But we had libraries. Like we had bibliotecas, librerías where you would go and I think that's also important that kids, we need to put the iPad a little bit away and more reading because it's always very, you were a 9-year-old reading about Jose Martí. That's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Poetic. It's always been,
I love it.
You're fashionista and poetic. I've always loved it. Yeah, but it's one of the things I brought with me and, pictures. And I flew here, I came through the lottery, el bombo, like they call it.
You still have it with you, no?
The book, my mom has it at her house. Okay. Actually, you're making me want to go look for it at my mom's house.
Go look
because
for it.
I need to, I want my son, I was sharing with you, my husband's American, not Latin whatsoever. He's from Virginia. So he doesn't understand, obviously. I tell him, but he doesn't really understand. But
you need to take him to Cuba.
One day, hopefully. Because of his job, he can't, sadly.
But that would be...
I would love to.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
He would go, but he's not allowed to.
Okay.
But the point is that I want my son to really feel that nostalgia. I was actually talking to Yanni here before you got here, and I was telling him, I would love to go back, but it's there's nothing left,
Yes, but at the same time... And now that you say that, that is something that I need. I haven't gone back to Cuba ever since I was 13 years old, but I've realized that is something that I need to feel a little more tuned to a lot of things that I was able to recuperate, if that's a word, or maybe I made it up, from this book, from writing the story. I think I have to go to that cuadra, that house. Cuadra is the neighborhood, that I grew up in, that house that I grew up, my school. I need that. I think I need that. I'm always working, doing something, preparing something. And if you ask me what can give you a little more strength, I think it will be that,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh.
I mean, not, and trust me, I've gone through this in my head, where I have the purses that I like, I have the shoes that I like, I go to eat where I like, but I'm like, what's missing, you know? And I was thinking about this because when you turn 40, you start questioning so many things. I guess I'm becoming poetic, but we start questioning so many things, and I'm like, I need something. I need something. And I had a beautiful party, and I'm blessed to have a beautiful family. But I'm like, what is it? And after I had the book presentation, I told my husband, I need to go back to Cuba.
Yeah. So the last time I went back was in 2019, right before the
Oh.
pandemic. So I did go back a lot because I had she wasn't really my grandma, but she was like an abuelita. She raised my dad, but she passed away at 97. I couldn't see her because of the pandemic. It was really rough. But you know what? She lived a beautiful life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is definitely a very humbling experience to go back
It's always important to go back to where you come
to your
from.
beginnings.
I think it's going to ground me so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Absolutely. Well, you're a huge philanthropist, and I love that about you. Your family has built a massive business down here, a very recognized name in the healthcare industry. And I love that you guys give back to the community, because that's huge. To whom much is giving, much is asked, right? And nothing was given. You guys worked for it. Obviously, this conversation more than proves that. But talk to me about your foundation, because it's so beautiful and you're so involved.
So our foundation is named after our last name, and it was intentional. And it was intentional because I want my great grandchildren to proudly say, I'm taking care of the Acevedo Foundation, that one day came in as an idea of just that, helping others. I went to medical school in the Dominican Republic, where from day one, I was in the hospitals seeing poverty to a different extent. Seeing poverty from circumstances that we didn't grow up in, a lot of abuse, a lot of mental abuse, a lot of prostitution, a lot of difficult things, because those girls and kids were not being told that there was another world out there. So they don't know any better. So that stayed in my head in my 20s. Then, we go back, and I remember I would always go to churches and just like, they're called bates, which is very like low, like very poor areas within any specific area of the Dominican Republic. And I would go in, take school supplies, clothing, food, whatever. Then I realized I'm leaving these places. And then what happens to these children that are seeing their mom having to prostitute themselves to be able to feed them? So I started just brainstorming. And I decided to have my foundation, and I say my because I feel like it's my baby. I feel it with passion, not only here in the U.S., but also in the Dominican Republic. Why? Because that's where it's very close to my heart. That's where I learned to understand how important and significant it is if out of 5 children you can help one to believe that there's a better future out there. My work is done. And here in Miami, we do a lot of community work. Forever and ever. I love just being able to see families that have been coming to this event years after years, and seeing how they come up to us and be like, I remember coming from Cuba or from Honduras or from Nicaragua, and it was my first event ever, and you guys gave us so much hope. To me, that is such a big responsibility, and it also makes me feel happy because it's an event that goes beyond the event itself. It's not just giving a toy, it's giving a message. And that's why I decided to just move on with social media, which is another story. It's tough. It's a challenge. But if I can raise my voice through my platforms, through my business, through my social media, through my foundation, and say, you know what, if we were able to do it, if we were able to achieve this, you can. You have to work hard. You have to believe you can. Nothing is going to be given, because yes, you can even be given something, but it's all on you. It's like, I throw this hot potato, now it's all on you. So we have had to just work very hard as immigrants. Is very tough, because we come from a country where we learn to survive out of, how do we make out of this little thing something big? And that's not how, the US works. That's not how, democracy works, So there's a lot of limitations that we have within ourselves. And we were always very like persevering. And my dad said, you know what? I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to just teach you guys that through hard work, good things happen. And that's what we've done forever and ever. My little brother, he grew up in La Colonia basically, and now he's taking over along with that the business. He's being more involved, and people love him because he loves La Colonia. That's our family business. That's how we have been able to help others through that. And I love philanthropy, Liz. I love being able to just being hands-on, because in the past we used to help, and we still do, like St. Jude, autism, cancer, you name it. Like, I'm always trying to help. But knowing that directly with my resources, with my help, with my knowledge, with my power, with my passion, I can help someone, it's the most rewarding thing in the world.
I love that so much. I
It's
love that so
amazing.
much. It's always, I've actually never said this out loud, on social camera, whatever, but I've always wanted to do something like to have a foundation, and to teach, people that come to this country, like just how beautiful it is if you work for it. Like you said it, nothing's handed to you. We go through a process of becoming American, and that's tough.
Yes,
because it's a huge culture shock.
It takes a couple of years
Yeah.
to getting adjusted to a new everything.
Yeah. I love that you're doing that. It's honestly amazing. So
Thank
you said, of course, no, honestly, like it's such a beautiful thing when someone who has worked hard, who is blessed, doesn't let that blind them from what's really happening in the world, and I've achieved a certain amount of success as well. And, I've been around people who have forgotten where they came from. And that breaks my heart. So, being around people
And
who
it's very
haven't.
easy to happen.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's more bound to happen.
Yeah.
Than, but I always say, I don't think my family would allow anything different to happen. I mean, we are very close, and everything that we do together, we experience it together. And I mean, respecting their story so much would never allow me to become someone that forgets our beginnings. Because I remember seeing my mom had me when she was 16 years old. I remember seeing my mom cook with, how do you say, carbón?
Charcoal.
Charcoal.
Yeah.
Because there was no electricity.
Yeah.
I remember seeing my mom struggle because she was, extremely young, having to be a wife, a mom, a professional, because my mom went to medical school, finished her career, and I'm so proud of her. So how can I not respect all the struggles they went through, all the sacrifices they went through to give me a better life? Like, how am I going to forget that I was someone that came to this country, and thanks to the help of others, we were able to have food, have clothing. So if I have the resources now, I need to do the same thing.
Money doesn't change people. It highlights who they truly are. And I believe that when someone is a good person, they're going to be a good person with money or without. And when the opposite is also true,
I'm going to take that message with me, but let me tell you that sometimes it's not just the money, it's the power. We're very hungry for power. So when you give the wrong person too much power, that comes with money, because money gives you the power to do a lot of things, build a lot of things, buy a lot of things, and do a lot of things. Now, it's what we do with that power that can make it or break it.
Yeah.
So, but I will want to start believing that money brings out the true colors of people. And I just love that we were able to succeed with the business. That gives us the opportunity to be able to succeed in this philanthropic world, because you need to have the resources. Now I'm becoming more open, and I'm doing a lot of more events and to raise awareness of, like I told you, mental health. I'm trying to help a lot of women out there to believe in themselves and to trust that they don't have to take that route to be successful or to make a living. And I really, that has been my goal for this year, to do more conferences, and then probably the podcast will come next year. I love that you're doing this, and I congratulate you for this. Thank you. To raise awareness as well and help other women. I love to be able to be there for other women.
I'm really excited for your podcast. I'm putting it out there that you are going to do it. Because like I was telling you, I think you said you were going to do it in Spanglish, and I feel like
it has to be in Spanglish.
Yeah.
Imagínate, I would be stuck because I'll be here thinking in English and Spanish. I'm like, pero, I mean, I think people are going to love it.
Yeah.
It's a Miami thing. It's
going to be great. But I was going to say, I don't think there's enough resources in Spanish, for women, immigrants, like that, again, don't know any better. They come here and they kind of fall, with whatever trends, hopefully good, sometimes bad, so it's going to be a great thing when you do.
And you want me to say, and I think I said it already, it's just I can't say and stress it enough. We open social media and what do we see? You know, a perfect version of ourselves. And that's not the reality. I'm not saying that we're putting a front or putting something that's not real, but that's not how we wake up. I didn't wake up like this in the morning, okay? And this is not how I'm going to go to sleep. I have bad days. Like, for example, these last days I've struggled with, you know, the whole thing that happened in the Dominican Republic. It really hits me because I lived there and it's hard. And I don't feel like getting a camera and just putting a filter and just talking about whatever, because I'm not, you know, but that's the beauty of podcasts, because you can be on your way to work, to school, to whatever, and you can be listening to something that's going to make you understand that perfection, first of all, doesn't exist. You don't need to chase after it. Chase after your dreams, not after perfection. Simple as that.
I love it. You have to do more content in English too.
I have to do more content in English. I think after this, I'll probably become more self-believing, that I can speak more. And I don't know. It's just that I feel a little scared because I feel like the ideas don't come out. But anyway, I speak a lot, so I'm sure it's going to come out.
No, you're honestly, you're amazing. All right. So give me too, a piece of advice for the moms who, again, are listening to you and they're like, yes, this sounds great, but I have this, but you know, the father of my child doesn't help me out financially, or my job doesn't allow me to do it.
Victimization, like you said.
Exactly. Give them one like really powerful advice.
I think, and I hope this really helps that person out there. I think passion. You have to find your passion. Passion is what drives a marriage to beautiful things. Passion is what makes you believe in yourself. When you're passionate about a career, a man, a job, if you lose that passion, because it can happen very easily with all the distractors that we have around us about, you know, family and what we should do. Do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Find your passion. It's okay to lose yourself in the process of motherhood, of being the wife, of being the person that you want to become, but you're not there yet. So find that passion. Don't give up if things don't go the way that you want them to be. Don't say, you know, in the first no or in the first failure, don't say, I can't do it. You can do it. It's just that timing is everything as well. Believe in yourself, find your passion, and don't give up. I mean, I'm going to put all those three little factors into one idea just because I feel they go in hand. Because you can have passion about something, but if you don't have the will, the power, or believe in yourself, it's not going to happen. No one's going to knock on your door and say, oh my God, guess what? All of a sudden, you are that entrepreneur that you always wanted to be, and the office is ready, is furnished, is decorated. It doesn't happen like that. So you need to find that passion, that willpower, and do it.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, the money's not going to get to your bank account.
No,
you're going to go chase it.
as
The
simple as
empowerment,
that.
because it's not even just about money, it's the self-awareness.
And we lose passion, Liz. Like, we lose that passion. I mean, it happened to me. That's why I'm saying it. Like, social media gave me back that power of saying, I can do whatever I want. I'm going to come out with my hair products. I'm going to come out with my health line. I'm going to come out with a book. I'm going to come out with my own podcast, because I lost myself a little bit in that motherhood and that comfort zone that we're in. When I was in PJs the whole day, and I feel so beautiful. I remember those PJs had, I don't know, like holes in it, and I felt comfortable. You need to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because once you become too comfortable, that's where you start losing that passion. That's when you start losing yourself in the process of yes, become a mom, but don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about yourself and try to reconnect with that passion that took you to where you started.
I love that. That's exactly why we're here, because I lost myself in motherhood. I was telling you, postpartum anxiety. I was like, who am I? What do I do? I was so uncomfortable in my body, you know, like it was hard. I had one of my therapists here a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about like, you have all this wiring, you become this person, like you have so many hours of repetition of being one way, and then you become a mother and you have like what, maybe 12 hours of being a mother, and then you're expected to completely shift from who you were before. So I can see why women go through identity crisis, and why I was home in my PJs too.
It happens. And then you go to social media and you see all this like beautiful, fit girls, and you're like, okay, no, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And then you go back into your comfort zone. It took me 2.5 years to say, I'm going to go back to the gym constantly, every day. I don't care. because I became too comfortable into something that at the end of the day didn't make me happy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Women need to, you see, ladies, you don't just hear it from me, you hear it from her as well. And you're going to hear it from all the other amazing moms that we're going to highlight in this series. Okay, but where can they get this book? Because I'm sure everyone wants to go run and get it.
Yes. Well, go to my social media, Jenisbel Acevedo.
We'll
Follow
put it here.
me.
We'll
Yes. They can find my book in my Instagram and Amazon. You can just put A Raft of Dreams, Un Barco de Sueño. It's both in English and Spanish. And also in my website, that is jenisbelacevedo.us, if I'm not mistaken. But if I'm mistaken, we will fix it.
We'll fix it in the show notes
Baby
later.
brain lasts a lifetime, okay? It just doesn't go away.
I love that.
But yeah, please go get the book. I would love to.
Absolutely. And if someone wants to support the foundation,
Yes. Well, actually, we have a website for the foundation as well. I'm not collecting any funds at the moment because I have to make sure that everything is, in order, Uncle Sam, everything.
Of course.
But I am actually doing another, we had a big gala this last year, and I think I'm going to become more aware of creating more events, like more charitable events, just because I feel that I don't want it just to be towards my foundation. Like I want to join in with other foundations and I love joining forces with other women, with other powerhouses, because I feel like in unity, in union, that's where big things happen. Like
Absolutely.
I love supporting other women, like other businesses. So I want to be able to create also like awareness through like, we can both have our foundations and we can work together, like whatnot. And I think it also creates two different positive messages of more unity amongst women, which is so important and necessary.
Collaboration over competition always.
Please.
There's plenty of space for all of us.
You'll be surprised.
Oh,
You'll be
girl,
surprised.
I
mean, we say it, but I mean, that's something else that, I mean, we would not be able to end up this podcast, but I love being able to collaborate with other girls, with other beautiful, motivated, just go-getters, because at the end of the day, I learn from them. They learn from me. And in union, like I say, it's the power.
Very few people embody it. You're right. You're right. And that's, again, a huge point of this podcast is like, don't just say it, be about it. Believe it.
Be about it. Be
Show,
a girl's girl. Help somebody else, If you went through that terrible or rough road and you can be able to help somebody else that, if you're a young girl full of like dreams and hopes and you don't know what the first step is, maybe somebody else can be of help to her.
You know what's great about social media? I know you just said how it's been so powerful for you, but another huge powerful thing about it is that before, like I was really poor growing up and I didn't know anybody that was rich. So like I had mentors who didn't know that they were my mentors because I was reading through books. But social media gave us the power to be in everyday life of people who are doing what you want to do, who are living their life how you want to live it.
It's an asset.
It's a huge asset.
I think it's an asset. If you use social media the right way, it's an asset. Because now that you say that, imagine looking up to, I used to look up to Cristina Saralegui.
Love her.
Right?
Love her.
Right? She was our Oprah.
The OG.
She was our Oprah. So imagine seeing somebody like her, somebody like Gloria Estefan, somebody like Lilia Estefan, their day to day, or their week to week, right? And you're like, wow, let me work out at 5 a.m. because they're working out at 5 a.m. Or let me go ahead and use that resource they used for their podcast because this is the new way of communication, right? Or let me use that resource because now the information is exposed. The information is out there. What happens is that we're spending and wasting a lot of time in other things.
Consuming the wrong.
Distractors, right?
Content.
But the information is there. So I love that you said that because we do that all the time. Like we're looking at what other people are doing and I don't see anything wrong with that. As long as you know that you have your own path and you have your own road to success. But if that worked for that person, it can probably work for you too.
Absolutely. Again, it's never been easier. It's never been easier to come out of the rut, to go out there and chase your dreams. I mean, I never imagined sitting here, doing what I've been doing, not the path I thought I would ever take in business. And here I am 7 years later, it changed my life. It created a legacy for me, right? So it's like, you got to just...
Amen to that. Amen to that. But you didn't give up.
I didn't.
You didn't give up. And to me, that is it.
Yeah.
Not giving up, challenges will come. Challenges is, it's part of the process. And you actually learn from those challenges, because I'm sure that it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always clear. And there was a lot of turbulence, there was a lot of struggles, but you learn from that and you become better, and you become a better entrepreneur, and you become, a better person in general through those struggles. Because if it's all fit in and perfect, and you don't get to value a lot of things.
Time is going to pass no matter what. Spend it doing something you actually care about. And it's hard to chase your dreams. It's hard to not. Choose your heart.
True.
That's what I say all the time. Choose your heart.
True.
So.
But at the same time, imagine, and I've felt like that. It's happened to me, to see someone that you went to school with, or that from your childhood, doing amazing, and you come from the same place, and it doesn't come from a place of envy, because thank God I don't have that in my heart, but I see it as like, wow, if that person could achieve that or could do it, I can do it too. And that's why I'm saying, like, you need to get the best out of everything and turn it into what can work for you, because that person is that person, and you're an individual.
I love this. This was so much fun. We got to do it again. You have to come back
again, but you're gonna come to my podcast.
Absolutely,
that's how it's going to be.
And you know what?
Hopefully.
You're gonna thank God it's in Spanglish, because you know how you say, like, you think in Spanish, I think in English. I think in English.
You think in English?
So it's harder for me, but
okay.
I want to challenge myself, like I was telling you. Yeah,
I'm gonna challenge you, and I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions para que me las contestes así on the spot in Spanish, and you're gonna be like,
I love it. No, but this was amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And, continue inspiring, because for those of us watching, like, you're so inspiring, and I love that. I love humble, beautiful, successful women that don't let it get to them, that don't let it get to their head, that go out there and, again, make the world a better place. We need more of that. So yes, everyone go follow her. You guys know I don't recommend things, people, places, like, unless it's something that I'm doing myself. And following this woman is honestly amazing, because you really get inspired, not just by her story, by her resilience, but also, again, the philanthropic side. Like, I love it. Every single day that I watch you, I'm like, this is so cute. I need to go. And one more thing. I keep saying, like, but so much more I want to say. One of these days where you go, invite me, because I love hanging out with los viejitos there.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll do it. You're going to learn so much from them.
I love it.
So much.
I love it.
So much. They tell me, don't cut your hair, don't do this, don't do that. Pero they give me so much advice.
Life advice. Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
because
amazing.
they, so many of them knew Cuba before Fidel.
Yeah. And they have so many kids, and they're like, you need to have more. And I'm like, no, I can't have more. And then, but I'm not going to complain. It's just, it's hard.
It was different times.
It's hard.
It was different times.
The world that we live in, it takes a lot of our time.
Yeah.
But they give me a lot of inspiration.
Yeah.
Their mentality, the way that they see life, the way that, they're so happy with so little.
Yeah.
And they're very inspirational. So I'll take
you. Please take me. I love it. I love all that. But I love asking them about, like, I'm fascinated, and I'm, I pray every single day that one day Cuba becomes democratic. We talked about that. Like, it's literally something that's in my prayers. Patria y vida forever. Forever, And I love hearing from people that were there through the transition. My grandfather was there through the transition, but he has Parkinson's. He can't speak anymore. So very few people, like, actually are still in my life that were there. So I love hearing from people that, were there.
And hopefully, never say never. I want to be alive if that happens. And I want to be able to live that and go back in freedom. Like, Amen. Go back in freedom where everyone knows their rights and lives a better Cuba.
I always say, I hope it happens, yes, in our lifetime. And I hope Willie Chirino takes over La Plaza de la Revolución.
¿Tú te imaginas?
Oh, my goodness. I'm already crying thinking about it.
That would be amazing.
It would be beautiful.
No, we have to think positive and hope for a better future for our fellow Cubans and world peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Patria vida. Wow. I don't know about you, but I'm walking away from this conversation feeling like something in me just softened and strengthened at the same time. Jenisbel's journey is proof that pain can be transformed, that the girl who once felt small and afraid can grow into a woman who writes her own story and passes down that pen to her children. How beautiful is that? If you're listening right now and you're in a hard season, I hope this episode reminded you that it's not the end of your story. That even when the waves, all symbolism attached, feel too big, you're still worthy of dreaming, of healing, and of being seen. If Jenisbel's words moved you, please share this episode with another mom who needs to hear it. Make sure you're following her on social media and tag us on Instagram. Let her know her story landed with you, because when we lift each other up, we all rise. Until next time, remember, happy moms, happy baby, and happy moms are often the ones who dared to rebuild, even after being broken. See you in the next episode. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your precious time with me today. I know your time is gold, and I'm truly honored you chose to spend it here. If this episode spoke to you, don't forget to hit subscribe so we can stay connected. And if you know a parent who needs to hear this, please share it with them, because none of us are in this alone. I'll be right here next week with more tips, stories, and reminders that you matter. Until then, remember, taking care of yourself isn't just for you. It's for your kids, for your family, and for your sanity. You're doing an amazing job. Take care of yourself and keep making space for your happiness.